It's your friend Phil here. I ran a boot camp for the folks at Fort Lee. This is a picture from the boot camp. These guys are rugged, dogged, and tough. And that's exactly what you need to be to get certified. If you're thinking of getting certified on the 5th edition, get dogged, get rugged, get tough, get rough. This is a micro boot camp to put you in the fast lane to convince you that, hey, you've not forgotten everything you learned and you could jump back on the wagon and get certified. Chapters 1 to 3, all about the core definitions, projects, temporary endeavors that we undertake to deliver a unique product, service, or result. Project management, the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to get that deliverable done. Program, a collection of 2 or more projects managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits and control that would not be available by managing them individually. Program management, applying knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to a program to deliver those benefits. Portfolio, a collection of projects, programs, and other operational work that is undertaken to achieve the organization's strategic business objectives. Portfolio management, of course, applying knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to portfolios, and it could be managing 1 or more portfolios to meet the company's strategic business objectives. Operations, repetitive work that we undertake to sustain the business. PMO, Project Management Office, a unique department or group of people in a firm that are grouped together to help people either effectively manage projects, to provide them with the knowledge and the skills and the tools to manage their projects, and to provide some sort of oversight or guidance on how projects are managed. Stakeholders, anyone who could affect the project or be impacted by the project, or people who think that they could be impacted by the project. Phases, segmentations in a project that usually end with the achievement of a milestone. They usually end with the handover of one deliverable from one phase to another. Phase characteristics. The PMI talk a lot about these phase characteristics. They could be either overlapping or sequential. And as the cycle of life in projects occur, at the beginning, the costs are low. They get to the middle of the project, they're highest, and then they taper off. And also talking about the impact of a risk. The impact of a risk is lowest at the beginning of a project, and towards the end, after you've spent so much money, the impact of a risk is higher towards the end. So read all those characteristics, the life cycle characteristics I just mentioned as well. And lastly, organizational process assets. These are broken into 2 core categories, processes and procedures and the corporate knowledge base. And we have enterprise environmental factors, external or internal, that can impact the project positively or negatively. One that people often mention is the PMIS, the Project Management Information System. We also have regulations from authoritative bodies that have to be obeyed on a project. That's an example of an EEF. So read chapters 1 to 3. Chapters 1 to 3 is really the core definitions. If you can get through those core definitions, you should be good to go on to the next chapters. So EEFs, as I said, factors that could influence a project positively or negatively, availability of resources, marketplace conditions, government standards or regulations, systems for managing projects, and OPAs. The 2 big buckets are your processes and procedures, valuable organizational information from past and current projects that can be used to manage your project. This could be from any of the organizations involved in a project. So talking about these life cycle characteristics, I mentioned these really quick: cost and staffing levels, the cost of changes, and stakeholder influence. Just be aware of what exactly these mean. If you need to pause the video to read these a bit more carefully, then you can do that. But the bottom line is that the cost of changes as you're progressing on the project, you are reluctant to spend more money on changing. The cost of changes will increase over the life cycle of the project. Cost of changes are highest towards the end. Cost of changes are lowest towards the beginning. Stuff like that. Just get it into your consciousness and you should be good to go. Organizational structures is another thing that you covered. If you remember these, functional, matrix, projectized, and composite organizations, these are talked about in Chapter 2. The functional organization, the team member reports to one boss. Project manager has little or no authority. Matrix organization, you've got 3 matrix organization types: weak, balanced, and strong. Projectized organizations, remember, PM is in high to almost total authority. And composite organization has different organization types at different levels, different locations, or different business units within the firm. Okay, I hope that rings a bell, brings back memories. Now, the PMI talks about life cycles in the PMBOK Guide. We have the predictive life cycle, also known as plan-driven, synonymous with the waterfall approach. Scope, time, and cost are defined early on the project. Lots of heavy front-end planning. We have iterative and incremental life cycles. Project phases repeat activities, and the final product functionality is incrementally built. And we have adaptive life cycles known as change-driven or agile methods. Heavy stakeholder involvement, lots of change, therefore it's known as change-driven. Iterations are usually between 2 to 4 weeks. It's time and cost boxed. Now, moving into Chapter 3, just to solidify our knowledge, we have the 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. Remember that? I prefer extra money in cash. And then we've got the 10 knowledge areas. I saw 2 chipmunks quietly having coffee, reading poetry stories. You can be creative in your own mnemonic. Okay? So know the 5 process groups, know the 10 knowledge areas, and of course, the 47 processes. Know them cold. Know what each one does, from initiating in develop project charter all the way to closing the project or phase. Okay? So throughout this course, I'm going to be talking very, very quickly. It's a rapid review, extremely rapid, of all this stuff. Okay? So in integration management, what's it all about? It's all about the coordination, the unification, and the combination of processes throughout project management. Okay, if you take a look up here at integration, you see the processes are developing the project charter, which gives you authorization for the project, developing the project management plan, which gives you guidance on how to get the project done, get the deliverable produced, direct and manage project work, which is all about getting that deliverable done. Monitor and control project work, which is all about monitoring the project in an integrated fashion and coming out with a work performance report. And perform integrated change control, which is all about managing changes through the change control board or the authorities that govern change on the project. And lastly, closing is closing out the project or the phase in the project. And of course, you know, you could close out phases multiple times. So taking a closer look, develop project charter, again, creating the charter, develop project management plan, assembling those subsidiary plans and baselines, direct and manage project work. You're creating those deliverables here. You're also making basic project observations, work performance data. Monitor and control project work. You're compiling information across the project and creating project reports. Performing integrated change control, you're reviewing change requests with a CCB. And close project or phase, you're transitioning the deliverable to the customer after it's been accepted. If you take a look at this grid here, I call this the what don't I know game. Take a look here. What don't you know? Are there any inputs, tools, and techniques or outputs that are vague or foreign to you? One of the games I play with my students, I call it the what don't I know game. And I ask them, what don't you know? What don't you know here? Take a best guess. Think, what don't you know? Okay? And that's how I would tackle chapter by chapter. You see, it didn't take that long to get to chapter 4 and to hone in on, hey, what's chapter 4 all about? What inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs are relevant here? Okay? So that's how I want you to dive into each chapter and try and unravel this. Okay? If you found this micro review interesting, you would definitely find the PMP Mini Video Bootcamp. Interesting. The PMP Mini Video Bootcamp can be seen on Praizion.com. If you go to Praizion.com, you can get a download immediately, and you can begin to very rapidly cover all this content right there on your smartphone. It's all in MP4s, and within about 6 hours, you should have taken a few quizzes. You should have been able to cover all this content, and you should be in a much better position to take the PMP exam after you've studied some more. Okay? So that's chapters 1 to 4. I hope it helped give you some insights. In my next video, I'll be covering another 4 chapters extremely rapidly. But that's it for now. Speak to you soon.